Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Cobra Kai is back. After I think a 2-year wait, we are finally back with this fantastic series, one of my favorite shows to watch, with the 6th and final season. So this is it. We're actually switching things up a little bit here this season with the release strategy. Usually it'd be all 10 episodes in one day. This season, not only do we have 15 episodes, but they're splitting it up into 3 separate parts. So we got 5 episodes that are now streaming on Netflix. We got Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1. Part 2 releases this November, and then Part 3 is coming at some point early 2025 before the new Karate Kid movie, which we still don't know how connected or disconnected that is, but whatever. Either way, here we have today the first 5 episodes of Cobra Kai Season 6 now streaming on Netflix. And this is going to be a half non-spoiler, half spoiler review, so I'll let you know when we get into spoilers, but for now we'll talk non-spoilers. Just right off the back with, I miss this show so much, and it is so good to be back with Cobra Kai, with Johnny and Daniel and all these characters. I just, after 5 seasons of living with these characters, just falling in love with them, and it is the same in season 6. Like, it's the characters you know and love, coming across these journeys. It's so crazy to look back at relationships of like Miguel and Robbie always wanted to kill each other. And in this season, finally, now they're friends, they're brothers. Even Sam and Tori, they've kind of made up now. But at the heart of it, Johnny and Daniel, they've always got their spats. That is one thing that does stay consistent throughout the series. Martin Kove is there as Kreese, of course, the big bad presence of this series. But either way, it's great. Cobra Kai Season 6 is a lot of fun. And again, after a couple years break since Season 5 came out, it's really nice to return to this world. I didn't rewatch the whole series, but I started rewatching some of it. Hopefully I'll have it all rewatched before we get to Part 2. But it just reminded me of how much I love this show and how much I missed it, and it is so good to be back. But with Season 6, we are taking things to the next level. Not only do we have more episodes this season, but we are going to a grander scale with the Seikai Taikai, which is the World Karate Tournament, much bigger than the All Valley. So things are much, the stakes are higher this season. And I will say, that was one of the things I was a little concerned with going into this, is like, is that too big? And is that going to affect the kind of small, close-knit, intimate parts of this series that I love so much? So far, no. But I will say there are certain parts of the Seikai Taikai that I'm not loving, which we'll get into more with the spoiler stuff. But one of the biggest concerns people had with this splitting it up into 3 different parts was, is Part 1 going to feel anticlimactic? Because it's like the big return to the series, but is anything even going to happen in these first 5 episodes, especially if we're splitting it up into 15? And I've been a big supporter of this strategy because I'm one of those people that I have a busy life. It's much easier for me to sit down and watch 5 episodes of a show than 10 or 15 all in one day. I hate Netflix's release strategy of dropping everything in one day. I hate when they do that. So when they break it up like this, I really enjoy that. It makes it easier for my life. So 5 episodes was much more manageable for me. And with these first 5 episodes, a lot happens. Each one ends with its own little cliffhanger. And especially episode 5, there's some big developments there, leading right into the Seikai Taikai. Which I suppose, yeah, it gets me really interested to see, okay, how long are we going to be at the Seikai Taikai? Because at the end of episode 5, we are now transitioning into that. So are we going to be done with that by the end of Part 2? I don't know, but I'm excited to see that. So if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend checking out Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1 on Netflix. Obviously, if you're a fan of the show, you probably already have. And yeah, it's great. But as for spoiler stuff, let's talk about some of the good. So I love the returning characters. I love that we have Stingray back in episode 1, one of my favorite characters of the show. And I love that he had a very actually pivotal role to play there, trying to convince Johnny to go back to Cobra Kai, which at least by the end of that episode looks like something he's decided to give up. You know, he doesn't want to continue the legacy of John Kreese. But personally, that's something I would love to see, is like maybe by the end of the series, especially seeing how at the end of episode 5, Johnny and Daniel have decided to, you know, they've gotten into one of their arguments again, and they've decided after the Sekai Taikai, they're going to part ways. And, you know, Miyagi-Do can be Daniel's thing, or if he is giving that up, who knows. I would love to see Johnny go back to Cobra Kai and like reclaim that title, really kind of bring things full circle. But whether that happens or not, it was still really cool to have Stingray there in that episode and have him training the next generation of karate kids. So that was fun. Kyler and all that stuff we had in episode 2 was really cool, because that's another element of the season, is it's these kids' senior year of high school, so they're dealing with college stuff and trying to figure out which college to go to, and that's putting a wedge in between some of these relationships. Particularly we saw with Hawk, or Eli, and Dimitri, which was interesting. Mike Barnes comes back, and he's great, kind of taps more back into that bad boy of karate side that we saw in Karate Kid 3. But one of the biggest things I want to talk about is with the Sekai Taikai, because it was interesting, because, you know, they say, okay, only 6 people can go to the tournament. Okay, cool, interesting. Makes sense. They want to just focus on our main characters. So, I mean, there's the obvious ones. Okay, it's going to be Miguel, Robbie, Sam, and Tori, and then probably Hawk, and then who's number 6 going to be. So they went through this whole big tournament to figure out who that was going to be. At first, I was really pissed off because Hawk didn't get in, and I just really hated the way they were going about doing that, with Dimitri getting in and Devin getting in. There's just some characters on the show that I really do not care for at all. Well, I don't hate them, but like Devin, like, she's not a bad character. I just don't care about her. And I don't really care for Kenny either, but I feel like he has a more interesting story that I would rather see told. But unfortunately, he's not going, it looks like. Obviously, by the end of episode 5, we do get Hawk in there. And Tori ends up switching sides, which was a big reveal, which I thought was pretty cool. Going back to Kreese with Cobra Kai after her mother dies, which was really sad. Honestly, huge shout out to Peyton List. Fantastic performance in episode 5. It still makes me curious. Like, there's always been that big fan theory that Kreese is Tori's grandfather or something. I was thinking like, oh, maybe they're gonna make that reveal. It's still possible, but I kind of doubt it. But still, that is the type of relationship he has with her, though, is like a grandfather father type figure. So it makes sense that she would go back to him after the fallout with Miyagi-Do. Obviously we have our stuff with Mr. Miyagi, finding out he has a bit of a darker past, which is interesting because in some regards it's like, how dare you ruin Mr. Miyagi's legacy? But at the same time, it does show that like nobody's perfect. Like, everybody has a dark past, and you know that's obviously messed with Daniel quite a bit. But everybody has that. Everybody has those things that they regret, that maybe don't look the best, but they come back from it. Second chances is a big theme of this show. So I thought that was an interesting element. It does definitely feel like, with the fact that we have 15 episodes in this season, there's kind of a lot being drug out here. Just because now we have more episodes, it's like, all right, it does feel a little bit like they're just kind of making up storylines just to take more time, which is interesting. I mean, it doesn't bother me a whole lot, because the more the show, the better for me. But it is definitely just something I've noticed. But I do enjoy really those smaller moments, like Sam, Robbie, Miguel, and Tori going on their double date to golf and stuff. Chosen and Johnny, just seeing that duo together in general is awesome, but seeing them go house shopping together, that was great. There's just some really fun moments here throughout part 1. Big, shocking reveals, great action sequences, hilarious moments. Cobra Kai is just a lot of fun, and it's definitely not the best season. Like, it's still great. It's still on par with the other seasons, but I just, personally, I have a bit of a soft spot for the earlier seasons. But this is still great. Great storytelling, great fun with Cobra Kai, and I cannot wait to see where things go in part 2, coming again this November to Netflix. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 1? Again, the first 5 episodes now streaming on Netflix. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so keep up to date on everything that goes on in the movie life.